Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Bleav in San Diego Baseball podcast. My name is Alex Miniak, alongside my partner in crime, the three-time All-Star Heath Bell. Heath, we were just talking about this Dodgers series last episode, and here we are playing baseball in Seattle, going out, I should say, to Minnesota. We're going to talk about that Minnesota series coming up. We're also going to talk about tailgate season. Tailgate season is coming up. Aztecs kick off tonight here in San Diego, and also it's Labor Day weekend, so I'm going to give you a little tip here. 5 steps, an easy way to grill a steak and make you look like a star. But something I want to touch on and kind of dive into a little bit, because it's an interesting conversation, and one I think about probably more often than I really should, is expansion and realignment. I think it's one of those fun questions to sort of ponder, to see what the future could look like in Major League Baseball, and see who we could be facing at Petco Park on a regular basis, or any new rivalries or new teams that we could be facing. Couple weeks ago, during ESPN's broadcast of the Little League Classic, Rob Manfred, the commish, goes on and he addressed the possibility of both expansion and realignment. And one sort of comes with the other. And now, both leagues are pretty much the same. It's like football, American and National Conference, or in basketball, East-West. There's really no difference in them anymore between National and American leagues. So let's take that out of the equation and just start from scratch here. Let's start with the expansion question first. If Major League Baseball were to go up to 32 teams with the rest of sports, where would you put those 2 teams and why?
You know what? Major League Baseball's been talking about getting to 32 teams, just the playoff aspect. But they've always talked about they got to figure out what Oakland's going to do. If they're going to build a new stadium in Oakland, now they're going to be in Vegas. And now Tampa's field kind of got destroyed. What's going to go there? So that it's basically get, hold of those 2 teams, figure them out. See, here's the thing. I think Texas would be a good place, Austin, but I don't think it's going to work, because you have Houston and Dallas with teams. And, I really think Salt Lake, I think Utah's going to get one. I can't say I'm tongue-tied right now. Salt Lake City. I think they're going to get one in Utah. And I think the next place will probably be Tennessee.
Yeah.
Their AAA team brings in a lot. Always has, mucho fans there, but there's an outside chance that, Carolina will get one, because but they just built a brand new, beautiful minor league, stadium downtown, and it fills up. But the hard part is, like, for Tennessee and Charlotte, is you have the fan base there, but you have to get rid of your minor league team, and you got to probably destroy that and build a big league stadium. So it's going to be interesting. The only sad part is there's not going to be many teams out west. It's going to be somewhat the South or the East Coast is the new 2 areas where I think Salt Lake City is the only place that I think you could get a West Coast team.
I mean, Salt Lake City is a growing sports market. The Arizona Coyotes just moved there. Now they're the Utah Mammoth. Obviously basketball has thrived there for a long time with the Jazz. They had an Olympics. They're getting another Olympics.
I will say, if they're going to build a new stadium, wherever they do, they need to have either a retractable roof or an indoor.
Yeah, and I don't see why. I mean, in this day and age, I don't see why that's a problem. They've got excellent mass transit in Salt Lake City too, so it's easy to get around. The Olympics are coming back. Monster Jam's coming back. I work for Monster Jam. We just did World Finals in Salt Lake City, and they're going back next year. So Salt Lake City is definitely a booming sports town. X Games, that's another one. I could just keep naming them. So that's a good pick. I think Tennessee is a really strong pick as well, both for the reasons you said, and that they have a really, really strong base in place as far as an ownership group or a prospective ownership group. They got a lot of big name ex-MLBers, music stars, all in on that scene. I Bleav Dave Stewart is connected to that. They want to tie it back to the Negro Leagues by using the Stars name. So I think there's a lot of cool history there. I think the cool atmosphere is there. It's a booming town. It's a major league sports town, football, hockey, hosts the SEC basketball tournament, Major League Soccer. So it is a city that can do it, and it's a big event town, so I don't see why not there. One name I'd like to throw out there, and I think it goes against the grain a little bit, is what about restoring a team in the East Bay or the Oakland area? They've had a fan base that's been very loyal over the years. Don't you think they deserve to have one back?
You know what? Oakland has so much history. I thought Vegas was going to get an expansion team. So I could see Oakland, but Oakland, the problem is Oakland needs a stadium, and is there somebody with money that will to build a stadium in Oakland? That's the only aspect, the only problem that I see right now. So
Of course. I mean, that always comes into play. They have a fan base.
they have the fan base, but the thing is, like, they've got a strong fan base, but it looks like it's a small fan base because it was a football stadium that they pretty much played in their majority of their career. So I don't think people think that they have a strong fan base as much as they do. So, but it's just one of those things. It's going to be sad that Oakland doesn't have a team anymore, but yeah, eventually I think a team will move to Oakland.
Yeah, I mean, it would be great. I think the Bay Area can support two teams. They have supported two teams. They had a World Series together, for crying out loud. It's definitely doable there. Let's just say we agree on Nashville as an expansion, and we say there's another West Coast team, whether that be the East Bay, Oakland, or Salt Lake City. What do you think the division then looks like for the Padres? Once we figure out where these new teams will be, and we say throw out the AL and the NL, we'll start from scratch. Who do you think's in that division, and who do you think we could face for a playoff spot? Could we get new rivalries?
See, here's the thing: is I think the West Coast is all going to be screwed up. So I think it's going to be something like the Padres, the Diamondbacks, and probably like Texas and Houston. It's going to be something screwed up, like they're in the Southwest.
Yeah.
And then Colorado will jump in with Anaheim and the Angels and Seattle. But then where do you put, Salt Lake? Or does Colorado go to the Central? So it's kind of, I don't know. I've got no idea when. Realign it, I think would be kind of cool. I'm a baseball historian, so I like the old school, but I do like new school a little bit, as long as you just do it right. And I think so far they've kind of done it right, but it's just I don't know what they're going to do.
All right, hear me out. Here's my proposal. I started doing some sketching here. To me, if you have 32 teams, I go less divisions. I kind of do the NBA, NHL thing where we have 4 divisions and 8 teams in each, and we do seedings like you would in those sports. So it's not so much about winning the division crown, it's where you get seeded.
It's almost everybody gets in the playoffs now.
Yeah, okay. Well, be that as it may, let's talk about what this division would look like. Padres, Angels, Dodgers, Giants, either Oakland or Salt Lake in our scenario, Las Vegas, Seattle, and Arizona. Colorado gets left out of this mix, and here's why I put these 8 in. For one thing, you keep the natural rivalries in place, Dodgers-Giants. You're going to get Oakland and San Francisco back together, too. You could actually create a real rivalry between the Padres and Mariners being in the same division. And you could have a little bit of a spite rivalry between Las Vegas and Oakland. So I think that could possibly work. And I think Colorado could go out and be in a division with the Missouri teams and the Texas teams and the Illinois teams and possibly Minnesota and the Brewers, however you want to figure that out. I think one of those teams has to go to the Midwest or the Central with the Ohio teams. But I would feel really good with a division like that. Padres, Angels, Dodgers, Giants, Oakland / Salt Lake, Las Vegas, Seattle, Arizona.
So Arizona's got nobody again.
Well, that doesn't matter. That's not my problem.
Them in Vegas would probably be their rival. I really think MLB is going to go to the 4-team more divisions. like football. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens. Nothing's going to happen until 29 or 30. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see what happens.
It's just fun to think about, and I would love to see. I think one of the things that Manfred had said is that a late game, as opposed to having to stay up on the East Coast to watch an East Coast West Coast matchup, you could have more Western teams playing each other in that late window, which keeps it a little interesting.
But here's the thing: is like, are you still going to play the other? Because we're the sport that plays more games than anybody else.
I think you still have to keep it a balanced schedule, but these would be your divisions, in my opinion. Now, if the league office wants to reach out, I'd be more than happy to discuss this. See, I got a legal pad, and I came up with it here.
Are we going back to you're going to play somebody in your division like 16, 18 times?
Well, we played the Dodgers, 12, 13 times this year?
Yeah, but it used to be like 18 or 20 times a year.
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need to see, no offense, Colorado, don't need to see you that much.
Well, they're not going to be in our division anymore.
Well, not in my scenario, they're not.
Yeah.
Well, I like the world I'm living in, and our listeners can decide if they want to live in it with me, because I think it would be interesting. And I think at the end of the day, when you break it down, I'd like to see more games with the Angels. I'd like to see more games with the A's. I'd like to see more games with the Mariners and teams that are close, or at least in our region, that we don't necessarily see all the time.
Yeah, it would be nice to see that. It would be nice to more West Coast games. So it just it is what it is, but it's a time frame. Then you'd actually be able to see more games, because more Midwest would play more Midwest. So you could at least see a game before the Padre game.
Yeah, I like it. I think it could shake out really nicely. And again, that all depends on where those expansion teams go too. So if there is no West team, then my scenario gets blown up a little bit, and maybe Colorado has to come back in. But that was my thinking, and I'd be excited for something like that. Now, speaking of games and seasons, it's football season. I am a football fan. I like college football. I like pro football. But you know what? You don't have to like football to tailgate. At Petco Park, we have a tailgate lot, and a lot of tailgating happens there, and we can tailgate all the way through October there. Heath, are you a big griller? You like sitting around the fire?
I like sitting around the barbecue and stuff like that.
What do you have a signature item? Do you have something you're known for?
Yeah, I'm known for fried rice.
Fried rice on the barbecue.
Actually, I have it's called an Evo grill, EVO. It's kind of like a Benihana grill, but it's made for outside, and it's to take away your barbecue. So it makes steaks and hamburgers and hot dogs, all that stuff, a lot better than a grill, because the grease it's kind of like a George Foreman grill, but it's round, and all the grease just drips off to the side. So, and you can. Here's the thing: I've made bacon, eggs, and pancakes at the same time on the grill.
That's kind of mind blowing, and I wish
Just
you didn't live
up. EVO.
I wish you didn't live so far away, because I'd come over for breakfast, uninvited.
Yeah.
It's my feeling that it doesn't take much to master the grill, but you really just have to master the basics. And if you can cook a good steak on the grill, I think that's pretty much the watermark for me. For those who have not done this on a grill, or just find the grill intimidating, I've got 5 easy steps here on how to grill a perfect steak, and a steak so good that you'll never have to eat out at a steakhouse again. Or at least maybe if you go to one, it'll be for inspiration, it'll be the best steak of your life.
No more dashing.
You're a DoorDash? Okay. I don't like the fees, okay? Well, they're not a sponsor yet. When they become a sponsor, then we'll love the fees. But for now, we don't love the fees. All right. So grill a steak here in 5 easy steps on Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. Okay, so you go into a store. It doesn't have to be a fine butcher or anything. You can go into a Ralph's or a supermarket. Just find yourself a nice cut of beef, something about 3/4 or an inch thick. I prefer a ribeye. A strip works really well too. Just pick one out, make sure it's good. I'd say 16 ounces plus. You want to make sure that you have enough for everyone, and a lot of that fat is going to cook off too, especially if you pick a fattier cut like a ribeye. The next thing you want to do is bring it home, pat it down, dry it. I prefer to coat it with a little olive oil first, but you want to season it liberally. And really, it's pretty simple. It's salt and pepper. Or if you want to get a little more crazy, you can do a blend of garlic powder, onion powder, rosemary, thyme, paprika, even a little red pepper. I'm fine with that. Give it a little heat. And coat both sides. And don't be afraid to use too much because some of it's going to burn off. And you know, with the grill flavors and whatnot and the flipping, it's going to bake into that steak. So, and also one last thing, a lot of people buy and spend a lot of money on these seasoning blends. You don't have to do any of that. You can do it yourself. It's really easy to make. A lot of them are equal parts. Garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, maybe a little lighter on the herbs. You go teaspoon instead of tablespoon, but really super easy, and you can Google it. Google steak seasoning. Chances are, if you have the barest of spice cabinets, you're going to have enough to make a steak seasoning, and that's what we really like. Third step here, after choosing the cut and seasoning it, is to warm the grill to 500 degrees. You want to get that thing nice and hot because you're going to want to sear it. You want to get a nice crust. You want to seal those juices in. 2 minutes each side, all right, at 500 degrees. I wouldn't touch it unless you want to do a quarter turn and do the crosshatch marks. I love the crosshatch marks. I think it's a hallmark sign of a steak. My wife says, stop flipping. Don't touch it. Just let it do its thing. She's no turn on that, which is fine. Preference.
Well, if my whole thing is if you're looking, you're not cooking.
That's a great rule, and that should be on a T-shirt or at the very least a bumper sticker. All right, once you're done searing, you want to drop that heat real fast. I say at about 350, maybe 325 to finish. If you can get it to indirect heat, meaning no flame, that's going to be ideal because you don't want to sear that thing anymore. It's already been seared. So take it off, move it over to a cooler burner, or if you got a top rack on the grill, move it up there too. Because really, what you want to do is roast it at this point. You don't want to fry it with the flames anymore. You want to do that about 10 to 12 minutes, and then finally, you want to get yourself, if you don't have one, these are the best gadgets. It is an instant read thermometer. I've got one. It's one of the best investments I've ever made. This year is called the Thermo Pen. They make a cheaper version called the Thermo Pop. It works just as great. Instant read, and when you take the temperature, make sure you don't go down through the top because you'll misread. You'll be getting the temperature of the grill and not the steak. Go across through the side. Get that temperature. You should be about 130 for a perfect medium rare, and then pull it and put a tent on it. Get a little piece of foil, put it on there, let it rest 5 minutes or so, and then you slice it, and it's heaven, and you got a perfect medium rare steak for you and your guests, and you, my friend, will look like Ruth Chris. In fact, they'll be calling you that at the end of your tailgate. Heath, do you have any problems with that, or you do that any other way?
No, my biggest thing is, okay, so there's some grocery stores out there like Seaside Market and Seaside that do all the marinating and seasoning the meat for you before you take it. So you could do that, but I'm always about marinating it or season it for a good couple hours in a Ziploc bag and let it just sit in the fridge or overnight. And then, like you said, get the barbecue nice and hot, and don't be looking because then you ain't cooking, and then don't overcook. I always like to use the black gloves because I don't use the tester. I've watched too many Hell's Kitchen where I kind of wanted to start touching it. So, and I would tell people, it's you probably want it a little bit like your thigh. Touch your thigh, and it's soft but kind of hard, but it's more soft than hard. So, because you want those juices inside to really cook inside. So
I think the black gloves are also a nice look too. It makes you look like a pro. I think if you get an apron and a pair of those black nitrile gloves, I think you look like chef du jour.
Well, then you could pick up the meat, you could pick up the steak, and it's not like, I gotta get the tongs and stuff. You can get it, you can grab it, you can put it on the plate, you can kind of cut it, and you're not using your dirty finger hands and stuff.
I have a big thing about cleanliness, and I ran a food truck for a little while in my marketing days, so if I don't see a 3-bay sink, I start freaking out there. So that's another good sign. If you can get cleanliness standards up at your tailgate, I will drop by for sure. Coming up, by the way, we're going to Minnesota. The Padres are. We'll take you on a little virtual trip, too, because I got a couple places out there for you to try that I really like and should be shared while we're talking about steak. And that's coming up next on Bleav in San Diego Baseball. Welcome back to Bleav in San Diego Baseball, the podcast. My name is Alex Miniak, alongside the 3-time All-Star Heath Bell. If you have not followed us yet, please do so. Follow us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It's spelled Bleav, B-L-E-A-V, in San Diego Baseball.com. And everything we talk about on this fine program is also found on the website at BleavinSD.com. It's BleavinSD.com. And you know what? If you don't want to just hear us and you want to look at our mugs, we got the video podcast on the website too. That's where our handsome faces are, Heath. So make sure you check it out. I mean, I think a lot of people will be impressed with us.
Maybe a little bit. I'm getting a little gray though.
Yeah, at least our wives. I think we're the same age, so we're both getting a little gray. Anyway, Padres on the road to Minnesota. In our last segment, we were talking about how to grill a steak. If you are making the trip to Minnesota, by the way, I love Minneapolis. I think it's a great town. I think it's one of those underrated kind of towns like Kansas City to go and visit and to eat your way across. Minnesota is fantastic. It's delicious. If you go to Manny's Steakhouse. It's one of the finest steakhouses in America. I got sent there during a Labor Day weekend years ago at the last minute for a marketing gig. I wasn't happy about giving up my Labor Day weekend to fly out to Minnesota. And I tell you what, I had a blast. I went to Manny's. I was there by myself. I ponied up at the bar. I ordered one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life. I got scotch. I rang up a huge tab, and I had no qualms about it whatsoever because it was fantastic. So if you get a chance to go to Manny's.
Yeah, I'm going to have to try there next time I go to Minnesota to try Manny's.
It's high end. At least wear a collar. Wear a collared shirt. That's going to help you get a good seat in there. My name won't get you very far at the door, unfortunately. I was trying to find something about this Minnesota matchup because I forgot who was still on the team. Everybody got traded. I had no idea. Yeah, everybody's gone. But Byron Buxton and Royce Lewis are still there. They're good when they're healthy. Other than that, Rocco Baldelli still the manager. After that, I've got no insight into this team. I'm going to say Padres should have no problem in this series, other than it's just somebody they just haven't seen before and a lot of players they haven't seen before.
See, that's the only worry part. Sometimes you might not have scouting report. You might not know what guys are going to do or how they're going to swing the bat. So you just really just have to execute your pitches and hit the ball where it's pitched and try not to do too much. And I think they'll win that series, if not sweep them. So it'll be a good series to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this is down the stretch here. Every game is going to matter. So we're going to be playing for something, especially as close as we are now to winning the division this late in the season. That's going to matter a lot. So hopefully, I'm pretty confident we've got some scouting reports and we'll see those guys and we'll see how it plays out. In a ballpark we don't get to very often, but one I would like to visit. I've not been there. Have you been to Target Field?
Yeah, I played there. It's probably my least likely field out there just because it's the newest stadium on the least amount of acreage. So it's almost you feel like you're in a hole with the stadium around you because the seats are pretty much stacked up on top of each other. And it's a beautiful ballpark. It's just when you're on the field, you just feel like you're in this big giant hole. So that's the only knock I would say. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's a beautiful park to look at.
Cool. From a fan perspective, that's going to be fun then if you have not made the trip out there. The last time I went there, the Metrodome was still standing. So anything's got to be better than the Baggy.
Yeah, that was not a nice place.
Well, we'll see how we do this weekend. Don't forget, by the way, to vote for your Friar Fave, your fan favorite player of this season, 2025, at BleavinSD.com, BLEAV. in SD.com. Well, you know what? I'm going to have fun watching. I'm going to crack a Hams here, a fine Minnesota beer. It's from the land of sky blue waters, and we're going to watch some baseball this weekend. Go Padres for the 3-time All-Star Heath Bell. My name is Alex Miniak, and we'll catch you next week on Bleav in San Diego Baseball.
I'm going to go run and get a Starbucks since we're playing Seattle.